I forget. Okay, awesome. Let's see. Okay, so question 4. First thing that you want to do there is just go to the required, get a feel for what they're asking. You can already see this is a salaries and wages question. So Q 4.1, it says calculate McDonald's gross wage for the week ending 31 May 2017. Okay, so we look at his name there, we see his age, we see number of hours worked. Okay, but before we go there, let's just quickly read the rest. Calculate how much Van Rensburg will contribute to the VVV Provident Fund for the week ended 31 May 2017, and how much the business will contribute on behalf of Van Rensburg for the Provident Fund. Okay. Calculate how much UIF will be deducted from Pile's weekly wages for the week ending 31 May 2017. Okay. So we're just splitting this thing up. Then on question 4, they say calculate how much UIF will be deducted from Pile's weekly wages, assuming that she worked only 20 hours during the week ending 31 May, and that it was her first week of employment with the company. Then the 5th one, calculate how much SDL will be deducted from McDonald's weekly wages for the week ending 31 May 2017, and how much SDL will contribute on behalf of McDonald's. Okay, let's see here. Okay, then we go on to 4.6. It says, how is net wages calculated? Okay. All right, we go on. It says, the company also pays salaries to its full-time permanent staff. The following extract from the Salaries Journal for May 2017. Use the Salaries Journal to answer the question. 4.7. Remember to show all workings, especially where amounts are made up out of more than one total. Okay, show all workings. Complete the cash book payment for May 2017 with all the relevant payroll entries, making use of the Salaries Journal above. Employees and payroll creditors were all paid on 31 May 2017. Cool. Right. And then under additional information, there's a lot of reading. Provident Fund contributions have been deducted at 5% of employers' wages for normal time and paid overtime to the VVV Provident Fund. 5% of employees' wages. Okay, cool. Company contributes a further 10% of normal wages to the Provident Fund for each employee. Okay. So this is why I was telling you guys when we were going over salaries and wages that the challenge here is you have obviously practiced, all right, and then you must be able to apply what you've practiced. They're not going to give you the same question. They can't. There's not enough time for that. Okay. So here we now know, okay, in order to calculate the Provident Fund, it's 5% of the employee's wages and 10% from the employer. Okay. All right, then goes on. The company uses the weekly tax tables to account for tax payable. All right, cool, no problem. Allow for UIF and SDL contributions at the standard rates. Calculate UIF and SDL contributions based on employees' gross wage. Okay, so take note of that. And then assume a maximum weekly UIF funding salary of 2,879 Rand 53. Okay, remember in your textbooks, we said that the cap on UIF is 14,000 and something. I can't remember the exact amount. Here they're telling you in this scenario, it's 2,879. Okay, so we're using this to be the cap basically. Then a normal work week is 40 hours. Okay, why are they telling you that a normal work is 40 hours? Because can you see here, they've given us the hours for each employee. So then if a normal week is 40 hours, any number of hours after the 40 is obviously overtime. Okay, all right. Okay, cool. So let's read up top there. Read the following information carefully and then answer questions 4.1 to 4.6. Remember to show all workings and round all amounts to the nearest rand. During the week ending 31 May 2017, the following weekly paid workers were employed by the company. Okay, cool. Right, there you have normal time and you have overtime. Okay, cool. No problem. Calculate the gross wages. All right, for the week ended. So this is simple. All we're doing there is we're taking his normal hours, all right, 40 times 70, and then we're saying the overtime we know is 11 hours because 40 minus, or 51 minus 40, you get 11. And then that 11 times 105, okay, and that's what you've done there. Okay, and then we get the 3,955. Happiness? Cool. Go to 4.2. There, what did they want us to do? To calculate how much Van Rensburg will contribute to the Provident Fund, all right? And how much the company will contribute on his behalf. So remember, they said 5% from the employee and 10% from the employer, okay? So here we need to calculate first, how much did Van Rensburg earn? Because remember, they said, somewhere they said calculate on gross, if I'm not mistaken. Of normal time. Okay, it's of normal time, not of the gross. Okay, so it's just of normal time. So here, anyway, Van Rensburg 40, so 40 times what? 60. What do you get? 4 times 6 is 24. All right, 0, 0. So yeah, 2.4. Okay, so we're happy there. Okay, and then we're saying 5% from him and then 10% from the company. And then that's how we're arriving at our answer. So I didn't actually total this. I should have totaled this to get your actual, oh, actually, no, it's fine. Because they did say the companies and the deduction from the employee. So we can move on to 4.3. So can you see how easy it is? It's now just about, obviously, applying what you've learned. Okay. All right. Calculate how much UIF will be deducted from Pile's weekly wages for the week ending 31 May 2017. Okay. So Pile, let's see. Okay. Firstly, we have to calculate what was. Sorry, I'm running away from the answer. 38 times 80 to get her gross wage. Okay. But remember again, we said our max is 2,000 something. So can you see we're now using that 2,879 as opposed to what she actually earned? Okay. Calculate 1% of that, and there you go. Okay. So can you see they were just throwing that in there to see, do you understand that this is the cap? All right. Right, then let's move on to 4.4. Calculate how much UIF will be deducted from Pile's, assuming that she works only 20 hours during the week ended the first week of employment. Okay, so all right, so we're saying 20 hours times the 80, we get 1.6. Can you see now, because the gross wage is now below the cap, we're now using how much her gross wage actually is. Okay. So that's all they're testing with both 4.4 and 4.3. They're testing, do you understand how we apply the cap? And so forth, so forth. Then 4.5, they're saying calculate how much SDL will be deducted from McDonough's weekly wages for the week ending 31 May 2017, and how much SDL the company will contribute on behalf of McDonough. Guys, I picked this up first time I read it before this time right here. What's wrong with this question? Somebody tell me what's wrong. Only the company pays SDL. All right, and I think that they were just trying to trick you up by asking it that way. So here you shouldn't be worried about what? About the actual individual. You should only be concerned about what the company is supposed to pay. Okay, so here, as you can see, did they say there's a cap on this, on SDL? That was 4.5, right? And we only wanted for this whatever, McDonough. Uh-huh. How much did we calculate his wage to be? Let's scroll up and see. Okay, so we had this 3.955. So why did we use this? Okay, that's identical to the cap, so I must have probably used the cap, but okay, so it says here, let's just read that additional information again. Allow for UIF and SDL contributions at the standard rates. Calculate UIF and SDL contributions based on the employee's gross wage. Assume a maximum weekly UIF funding. Okay, so that only pertains to the UIF. Sometimes they can give you a cap for SDL as well, but this obviously only pertains to UIF. So we should have used the 3,000. How much was it? 3,000, how much? 2,040. No, 3,955 for McDonough. Yeah, for McDonough. All right. Perfect. Okay, so we're happy there with 4.5. Then what are they saying in 4.6? How much is the net wages calculated? So here now, all you're doing is you're actually calculating, okay, what is the gross for each of the employees, which is that first line, this first line here, okay? Then we're calculating, okay, what were the expenses? Or deductions, should I say, deductions. We had the UIF contribution from the, the pension fund deduction from the employer. Sorry, from the employee. The provident fund deduction from the employee. Then we had the UIF deduction from the employee, and that was it. There were no other deductions because SDL, we know, gets paid by the company. Yes.
So 4.6.
Uh-huh.
The question was that they asked him how is the company. So are we supposed to work it out from just
that is a good question. Because I see there's only 2 marks there.
Yeah, so just assume you define how you
I would think that you're actually supposed to define, since it's just 2 marks. So here I just, okay. Yeah, definitely. I think, so basically, how do you calculate net wages? Minus the deductions. And then you're home and dry. Okay. Remember not to deduct your contributions. As in, when I say your, remember, whenever I say we, us, your, whatever, I'm talking about the company. Because remember, whenever we're doing accounting, we're doing the books of the company. So those contributions for UIF, contributions for SDL, contributions for whatever else, those are not, when we want to calculate the net wages, as you said, it's literally gross wages minus the deductions from the employee, not the contributions from the company. Okay. All right. Just reinforcing what you guys already know, but maybe for the benefit of those maybe who are online. Yes. You can just say deduction. Because when you think of it technically as well, those are contributions from the company, they're not deductions. they're not going to come off your salary. They're going to come out of the business's bank account. So that's fine. Okay. All right. Good question, by the way. Then 4.7, complete the cash payments for May with all the relevant payroll entries making use of the salaries journal. Employees and payroll creditors were all paid on 31 May. Okay, cool. So here it's pretty simple. Here they've given us the salaries journal, but now obviously we need to record this in the cash payments journal, because that's where we make those payments at the end of the month. Does that make sense? Okay. So all that you're doing here is you're literally now recording each of those and confirming that you've paid them. So if you look there on the 30th or the 31st, actually, employees, can you see there, bank? We plug in their total amount under net salaries, okay? And then obviously under sundries, we plug in the same amount because we know there's no VAT on salaries. And then we know creditors for salaries. You won't be able to answer this. This is where, how many marks is here? 16. Can you imagine? For this one, because they know if you haven't practiced this, you're not going to, especially with the details under sundry, you're not going to get that. Okay?
I see other details with creditors for salaries.
Yes.
They're not allowed to put as salaries and wages.
Yeah, they will. Because remember what we are saying when it comes to salaries and wages. We're saying this whole month they have not paid you. We owe you. So the account is actually creditors for salaries. Then when you look at the deduction, you will see that we use it's salaries when we are now debiting. When we're recording our contribution. Yeah. So can you see? Yeah. It's so you see, it's those small little things that should just need to practice a little bit more. You see, but that's where a lot of my students suffer. It's should I be crediting here or should I be debiting? You know, because yes, it's an expense, but then it doesn't register that the provident fund is something we're only paying at the end of the month, but we've been owing it since the first. You get what I mean? That's why we call these guys creditors. Same thing with medical aid, same thing with UIF and the like. You see? All right. So let's go on. The next thing is we know, okay, fine. We know that PAYE, UIF, and SDL, all of those things we pay over to SARS. Okay? Another one where they would have tricked you out. So you have to put in SARS there under name of payee, because who are we transacting with? Okay. Then we know we need to add those amounts, SDL, PAYE, and in there, okay, which is what we've done, and then we come up with that amount, okay? And then obviously EMP 201 control account, that's where this is taking place, okay? They love the EMP 201. If they don't test you guys on the EMP 201 in some way in this section of the paper, I'll be shocked. I'll be shocked. All right. Then finally, you now then need to record having paid the pension fund over. Okay. So remember there, can you see we are including the amount that is being deducted from the employee, and we're also including the amount that the company is contributing. Because remember, what the company is doing, and this is just a recap, is they're not paying me everything and then saying, pay this stuff to these guys. They are taking that money off my salary, and then they're saying, you can take the next. Does it make sense? So they have the money. So that means that when it comes to paying UIF, when it comes to paying medical aid, whoever it is, they then have to take, okay, here's the deduction from Aubrey, and here's our contribution for him as well. And then they pay it off. So that's why you also need to include that. Okay. Right. Anyway, happiness there? Everybody good? Okay, cool. Right. So that's unit 8, question 4, and then finally question 5. My favorite. 20 marks. How many marks did they ask this question? The question 4. Ew. That's a lot. That's a lot. Okay. Right. Oh, no, they didn't ask my favorite question. Huh? Oh, they didn't. They didn't ask a profit, a closing account. I mean, year-end procedure question. Wow. What a surprise. Okay, so here, guys, here, let's see under the required, what are they asking? Taking into account the additional information provided, redraft a correct individual account for McDonick as it should appear in the debtor's ledger, okay, at 30 April 2017. Hint, you need to correct all errors made by the bookkeeper, including layout, terminology, calculations, casting, errors in principle, etc. Guys, this thing is so easy that we have to test you on all these things. So, you know, the right terminology, casting, etc. The folio is important in this section. In unit 7, it's important. Why? Because most of the job is a plus minus job. As long as you know that when I'm dealing with the individual data, when it increases, I debit. When it decreases, I credit. Opposite with the creditor, individual creditor. When it increases, I credit. When it decreases, I debit. Long as you know those, then you should be fine here. Okay? So we then look. Let's quickly see what's there under the additional information. When you worked through the individual account for McDonick in the debtor's ledger, you identified the following errors. The balance brought forward on 1 April was the balance per the debtor's control for 31 March 2017. The balance for McDonick was 11,607. So basically, remember the debtors control is a summary of all our debtors. So that's the balance that they used instead of this individual's balance. Does it make sense? Cool. Right. The amount per invoice, IV515, excluding VAT. Okay, so they're telling us that particular transaction was excluding VAT. And we know when we're dealing with the debtors control, we always use the inclusive of VAT amount. Okay. Next one. Invoice INV525 was issued for the credit sale on 11 April, and McDonick was given 10% trade discount. The amount of the sale, including VAT, but excluding the trade discount, was 25,650. Okay, so what are they telling us there? Somebody tell me. They're telling us that's the amount including VAT, so we're happy about that. But what are they saying? But excluding the trade discount. So what do we need to do? The trade discount was 10%. We have to take off 10%. Okay, we know trade discounts. We don't need to think too much about anything. We just take it immediately off. Because we're giving the discount right there and then. Okay. All right, cool. So that's what we need to do with that one. Then receipt RC 252 and JV 26 were made out to when McDonick paid their outstanding balance of 60,000 less 3.5 prompt settlement discount on 15 April 2017. Okay, cool. So there we're recording, we've received money, and then obviously we're recording the settlement discount. Okay, then lastly, on 30 April, 45 Rand was charged to McDonick's account for her quarterly club subscription fee. Okay, cool. All this time I thought it was a he. Well, surprise, surprise. And then up top there, it says the company recently appointed an inexperienced bookkeeper to prepare the individual debtors accounts in the debtors ledger. However, when the senior accountant reviewed the work done by the bookkeeper, she found several mistakes were made while preparing the individual accounts. She has asked you to correct the account for one of the debtors. Okay, cool. Right, so no brand new information there. So, as you can see, we've thrown in the correct balance, the 11,607. Then invoice, we know that this amount was, what was it? When it came to that, it was excluding that. And that was 22,200. So we then calculated the VAT inclusive amount and then adjusted the balance accordingly. Then on the 11th, that was where we had the 10% trade discount, okay? So we just need to get 10% and then obviously deduct it off the, how much was that? 25,650. And then we get this 23,313 and then adjust the balance accordingly. Then we know that we got paid, right? We got paid. The fourth bullet point says receipt RC 252 and JV 26 was made when McDonald paid the outstanding balance. Can you see the outstanding balance of 60,000? Okay, less 3.5%. Okay, so then we have to say, okay, so how much did he actually pay? And we know that since he's paying his account, obviously that's going to reduce what he is owing us. So we credit that amount, and then here you could have just written receipts or cash book receipts, it's fine, but you could have just written receipt. Actually, here you are supposed to, not even that, you should put RC2, so receipt RC 252, or you could have just put RC 252. Okay, not this. This is actually wrong. You can include this other stuff, but as long as you include that doc number. Remember, here it's supposed to be doc number. If you don't put the right terminology, you don't get the mark. Okay? And it's these small little things that rob you of getting that 100% I know you all are going to get. And he laughs. Okay, and then obviously folio, again, you need to understand your journals. Because we're receiving money, that's obviously going to the cash receipts journal. Because here he's increasing how much he owes us, debtors journal. Okay. Then we know that settlement discounts happen in the general journal. Okay. And there teacher got it right. He put in the doc number. But now, guys, I want you to save your time. Don't waste your time trying to say, okay, what is 3.5%? Just check how much is the balance that I have. You know that he's settling his account, so that balance he's not owing it. So we just need to use that amount as the discount. Okay, save you a second or two in the exam. Then finally, we charged interest. What? No, this was a charge on the what you call it? Is her subscription. The subscription. Okay, so yeah, the account statement. You can put in account statement or subscription fee. Either one is fine. Not too much of an issue. And then obviously that's a general journal. And then boom. We debit that because we know it's going to increase what is owed. Yeah. Yeah. And then that's fine. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Right. Somebody tell me something here. I want to throw this question at you. Are we right in doing this? Using the general journal instead of, let's say, the debtor's journal? Remember, that was a subscription, right? So are we right in using the general journal? So you're 100% right. We are right. Why are we right? What do we use the debtor's journal for?
Sales.
Uh-huh. Sales of what? The general journal, yes. But in terms of the debtors journal, it's specifically for trade injuries. So you would then use it for that. I think if you're a services business, yeah, maybe you can do the debtors journal as well. But it's specifically our core business. So if somebody owes us as a result of interest, as a result of a subscription, or as a result of maybe we sold them a car, that's out of our usual business. It would happen in the general term. And when I say those transactions, I'm saying on credit. Guys, that's it for today. As promised, I told you we'd end a bit earlier. This paper is a bit shorter, a lot kinder to us. So I don't know if you have any questions from your side, but otherwise that's really it.